My name is Fiona. I am the partner manager of DACH at Sendcloud. I've been at Sendcloud for the last 2 years now, and 6 months ago I took over the partner manager role at Sendcloud, and I'm looking into partnerships with agencies that work with different merchants on a day-to-day basis. I'm sharing the stage today with one of Sendcloud's closest partners.
Hello everyone, and so to no surprises, my name is Valentin. I'm today representing Hive, and I'm currently the head of Western Europe. What does that mean? Covering basically multiple countries and therefore working with multiple brands that usually expand in between the different countries. What do we do at Hive? So we're trying to build better commerce operations for you, for brands, for partners, for the associates in the warehouses, in the fulfillment centers. And how we came up with this idea is that 3 years ago, there was a need to rethink operations to adapt it to modern brands. And that comes from multiple layers. Making sure that you have the right carriers, but specifically the right customer experience to make sure that you can convey your message to your end customer and keep them in your universe. And for that, we covered the whole value chain and connected it seamlessly between technology and the actual operational service. Now, we started in Germany and started expanding across Europe. And for this to happen, we worked with Sendcloud.
So, over to Sendcloud. As one of the key components in our growth in the European market has been that our activity in 11 years has allowed our merchants to improve their day-to-day process. So this means creating labels in the warehouse as well as improving the pick and pack process. This also goes into user-friendly returns, personalized tracking, but also access to over 100 carriers that we have in our system and 50 integrations that we have already integrated. We're currently active in 8 markets in Europe, and we're growing and growing every year. So, why is a fulfillment center and a logistics provider on stage here today? Hive and Sendcloud actually go way back. We started working together in 2020. Originally, Hive was able to use Sendcloud's vast carrier network into establishing their brand in Germany as well as in the other brands that they grew into. They use the go-to-market strategies that Sendcloud has, the knowledge that we have, the referrals into growing their brand. It goes without saying that Hive has enabled Sendcloud merchants in laying off some of the tedious aspects of logistics into really leaving it up to the true experts. So, who is today's online shopper? At Sendcloud, in our most recent consumers research, we surveyed 9,000 people, I think, in diverse demographics, in all the countries that we're active in, including the US. Some of my favorite insights that I want to talk to you guys about today is how the different consumer behavior differs across Europe, for instance. I mean, we look at Europe as a small continent, but there's so many differences even between the neighboring countries. For instance, order frequency. How often does the average person order per month? On average, from all the markets, it was 1.8 times. In the UK, for instance, this number is 2.2. So every month, roughly twice to 2.2 times, there's someone ordering online. In Belgium, it's only 1.5. Same goes for purchase amount. How much is the average basket size that someone has? We see here in Germany, big purchase power, the average basket size is 174 euros. A great way for a brand to explore the German market. Belgium, again, 99 euros is the average basket size. You could say, maybe not explore the Belgian market next. So, what about delivery time? When do people actually want to have their parcels delivered? What is the general expectation of the consumers? We also found differences here. In Austria, for instance, people are very patient. Deliver the parcel in 3.9 days, it's all good. Whereas the Netherlands, where actually my home base is, people are not as patient, and they really want their parcels to come in 2.7 days. So if you're a merchant and you're looking into expanding into the Dutch market, we really recommend integrating, for instance, PostNL, a local carrier that actually can meet these consumer demands that people have. So, another interesting that we found is that delivery time differs a lot across these different countries. So, we might all be a small continent to some extent, but here in Germany, for instance, people like to have their parcels between 4 to 6 p.m. on average. After work, before dinner, don't disturb us outside of these hours. In Spain, for instance, this is very relaxed. Deliver the parcel 10 a.m. till 8 p.m., it's all good. You can basically see from these kind of insights what kind of checkout methods you want to have available in your storefront. So it's not only important what kind of carriers you have integrated, but also what shipping methods these carriers have available so you can meet these local consumer demands. So Valentin, what do all these insights mean in practice?
Absolutely. Let's look into this right now with a brand that hopefully most of you already know, but it's a Berlin-born brand, Holy, and it was initially called Holy Energy. We've been very lucky together to be working with them since their early beginnings. And today we're going to look at how they expanded across Europe and how they benefited from both a strategic shipping solution and a fulfillment provider that worked together and enabled them to provide local experiences in every single country. So how did the brand start? So for those who don't know them, they started about 3 years ago, exactly 3 years ago. 3 friends thinking of, we're drinking a lot of coffee, we're also drinking a lot of soft drinks. How can we make sure that we can make something a bit cleaner, nicer for everyone, and still have all the benefits of being focused, and initially super targeted for gamers? They now have a full range of products from hydration, antioxidants, and still energy for those who are excited by it. The way they build the brand is community-driven. So there are multiple types of brands today, celebrity-driven, influencer-driven, that we're seeing more and more pop up. I think Beyonce announced a new brand yesterday or 2 days ago. But they really drove it through community, and they worked with people to co-create the product. And that also meant that they had a community that was spread across the world, and they had at one point to think about how would they serve them in the best way possible, or actually in the way that they wanted to serve them. Like most e-commerce brands, they start in their home country. They started with Germany when they started probably from home, thought about the products, kind of thought about how can I send products to my end customer, build the website, and usually you start with what you know. You start with the carriers you know. In Germany, most people know DHL, DPD, and probably that's the limitation, maybe not in this room because we've also been here. Similar to another country, you might know the most common carriers, but you wouldn't necessarily think of what else can I have, what carriers can I work with. So the moment you grow to a certain size, you kind of look at professionalizing yourself. And that's where you usually look at also externalizing certain things. And for example, for Holy, it was looking at externalizing fulfillment. So they started working with us. And they evolved from having a single carrier at the time to having multiple options for the end customers and also options that fit their products. So the products, they have very slim products that fit into Warenpost, for those who know it. And they also have very bulky but light products. And so both with Hive and the integration with Sendcloud, we're able to quickly adapt and launch new services that were also created by the carriers. And so in Germany they had this option, and they're also able to look at, okay, how do I make the best experience possible? They started with using what they had, so the Shopify tools, and then again, using Hive and Sendcloud, they were able to create a whole post-purchasing experience with live tracking, return portals, and also better general experience for their customers to interact with the brand throughout the physical interaction as well, custom packaging, and so on. Once they've done the first market, they started looking at, okay, how do I look around? And as a brand, you can decide yourself, or maybe a partner pushes you a little bit. In the case of Holy, we motivate them seeing their numbers that maybe France was a great place to be. And for the brand, again, it's thinking of how can I provide a similar customer experience at similar costs, ideally, and with local requirements. And those local requirements can go from regulatory requirements to just having one carrier. And we've seen through the research of Sendcloud that there are some major differences between different countries. One of them is, for example, in France, you have the parcel point, which is like service points. You deliver your products to a parcel point instead of having them delivered to your home. And something that requires not only a carrier, but also technology that goes with it. And so to be able to offer the same level of service, the same level of customer experience in a second country, in France, they needed to put this into place. Lucky for us and for the brand, we're able to benefit from what was already existent. Tools that had been built by Sendcloud, had been built by Hive, and the carrier integration. So from one day to another, we could turn the key and open a second market with local delivery costs, very attractive, local delivery times, so great customer experience, and keeping the same technological or digital experience throughout the chain. Now, once this second market is validated, and you've seen that it can work, and that you have partners that you can rely on, that have the knowledge, that have the tools to enable you to grow to a third market, and a fourth market, and a fifth market, then it's really a question of repetition, execution, and scaling up. So for Holy, that meant opening a third country, which is the UK, which has also its complexities, mainly on the regulatory side. Since they went out of the EU, there's like more complex things happening. Also VAT requirements. All those things where relying on partners that have an awareness and understanding of those markets, both from their own experience, from the brands that they already work with, but also their partner ecosystem, enable them to do this much faster. And as you can see on the slide, in general, for Holy, this was incredible. They grew 50 times the size in the last 24 months, 50x, reduced their shipping times, reduced their costs in the international countries, and just recently, last year, raised 10 million to grow even more, and they're soon to be opening international locations and going beyond the seas in this case to the US.
Perfect. So overall, there's a lot of things that businesses can do in order to grow globally. We want to present to you a 3-step global growth blueprint that you can use. So this means just the way Holy did it, growing in your home base, becoming mature in your home base, finding out who's your consumer, what works well. As a second step, you want to try out different things in different markets. You want to get to know your new market, your new consumers, and what works for your own brand. There's no one-size-fits-all, and that's something that we've made the experience with a lot of brands, is that there's no one blueprint that you can follow and you're going to achieve international success. It's always going to be tweaked and depends on your own industry, your own market, your own product. So it's really important to partner up with experts in the field, and this doesn't necessarily mean a logistics solution and a fulfillment solution, but it can also be a payment solution and beyond that really are experts in the field and enable you to expand into these new markets without having the whole hassle of, okay, where do I start? How do I do this? But rely on these experts who've done this before so you can flexibly try different things. So, we obviously want to give you guys an opportunity to ask us a bunch of questions if you guys have any. Does anyone have any questions from the audience?
We'll bring you a microphone. So.
Yeah? Okay. There you go.
Hi, my name is Mustafa from Berlin. I would be interested to understand when you go to different countries, your base is Germany, and you have local carriers, but do you also, or in this example, do you have also fulfillment centers in those countries, or is the fulfillment done through Germany?
So there are multiple options. You can use like direct injection solutions where you keep everything in the same place and you start shipping across border with 7 senders. I saw multiple today, Ascendia and those things. At Hive, we have multiple warehouses, so we are present in 6 countries already, mainly in Europe, which covers like France. So Germany is our home base, and we have multiple warehouses there or here. We're present in France, Italy, Spain, the UK, and Poland. So we cover most of Europe for now with those warehouses. Yeah. So we offer local fulfillment. So you also benefit from the time, because that's the main thing. Once you want to have an experience that is not too lengthy for our customers. And the trend is changing a little bit, but people expect delivery to be fast, and they've gotten used to the Amazon model where you get like your parcels the next day. So they expect this from independent brands and marketplaces. But if your customers worry less about this, then direct injection or international opportunities exist that you can keep everything in one place and use that for a cross-border kind of shipment solution, which might be interesting if you have a lot of references, like a very complex storage solution that might not be replicable across different warehouses or fulfillment centers.
Any more questions?
Some additional questions? Any more here?
Okay.
All right. Well, I still had one.
Yes.
No, I was just interested because it's a very challenging space. And I'm wondering if you could share what you find to be your customers' biggest challenge, maybe one we might not even think of initially, and how you solve that.
Interesting question. I think I actually come from the sales industry from Sendcloud, so I spoke to a lot of merchants in my time. And I think time and time again, I always notice that a lot of merchants feel most comfortable using one carrier, for instance. So they're like, hey, DHL works great in Germany, and it does. Let's stick to that. With our experience, we've also really noticed that having a multi-carrier strategy, so really incorporating an express user, an express parcel provider, as well as DHL and other carriers, allows you to really expand globally and meet these different consumer demands. I know in my consumer research, it was always the average of every country, but even within a country, there's a lot of differences. In some areas, DHL might be stronger, but in other areas, DPD might be. It can also be that specific shipping methods are only available to, let's say, DHL and not to, I keep saying DPD, but those are kind of things that we've noticed in our market, that a one-carrier strategy tends to limit a lot of our merchants.
A lot of sense, because of course it's never one size fits all with the customer. Just want to thank our panel again, Fiona and Valentin, for sharing.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.